Jen here with a layout for Wild Whisper Design. So this is going to start with a little bit of watercolor. I want to get a nice gray, so I'm mixing some red and some green, and I'm just going to paint some lines across this page. And basically, when you mix complementary colors, so those are colors that are across from each other on the color wheel, you get these nice muddy dark colors. So red and green usually makes a nice gray. Depending on how dark you want it to be, you just add more or less red and green to it. So I'll put that to the side to dry. And here's the picture I'm using and some of the cards from the No Place Like Home collection. That's their collection from March. I'll use some of those Tim Holtz little word stickers and these labels and cut aparts. Some Maggie Holmes word stickers. Those are from Cosmo Cricket. I can't even tell you how old those are. Some more of these Jelly Bean Soup stickers. And these stickers from Pebbles that have some coffee and books. And then those are twine and ink hearts that I wanted to use on the last layout I did for Wild Whispers, but they never made it. So here you can see I have a bunch of papers that I gutted, and I sewed a line down that paper that I painted the stripes on. So just trust me on this. There is a method to my madness, but it's going to look like a hot mess for a little while until I get started. So my plan is to make this layout feel like a book, like a page in a book. And so what I'm doing here is I'm going to glue all of these pages down, and they're going to be slightly offset from each other so that you can see each of the pages on that left-hand side. So I gutted that heart page. That's actually from the Focus on You collection, which was the January collection from Wild Whisper Designs. And then I also gutted that white cardstock just because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't too bulky in the center. And then now I'm going to put this next one down, and you can see I'm only adding glue to the side where everything's been cut. So that right-hand side where I sewed down the line, that isn't glued down yet. So there we go, and that's going to be my top layer. And so basically, if you think of that line that I sewed as the center of the book, I'm working on one page of the book. And the reason I offset that, I sewed it just 1/3 into the page, is because I wanted to have a bigger space to actually put my picture and all of my layers. And then I took this really cute card, the one with the teacup that says curl up, and I'm going to make that look like a bookmark. And then this other one here with the book on it that says curl up, that was actually the inspiration for this whole layout. Reading is my second favorite. I don't know if I can say second favorite because it's sort of a tie between reading and scrapbooking. But it's definitely one of my favorite things to do, and a good book and a hot cup of tea and a warm blanket is totally my happy place. So this was the perfect platform for me to do a layout about it. So I'm just going to work on some of my layers here. You can see I cut down the card that has the teacup just because bookmarks are usually skinny and long. So I wanted to make sure that I was sort of giving the impression of that bookmark. And then here I'm cutting off some of the card that's around the book because I just felt that the gray was too much bulk on top of the picture. But I will use that cut off as a layering piece. It also just spreads that gray color out around the layout. And then there's the bottom piece that was cut off, so I'll use that too. And I'm trying to keep everything sort of centered on the page, as close to the line that I sewed as possible without going over it. So eventually I will cut that piece that's overlapping it, I will cut that off. And now that I feel like those layers are working good, I'm going to start to glue everything down. For me, the key to good layering is just paying attention to where all of my corners are and where all of my lines are. So you can see here I'm trying to make sure that I don't have any of those papers lined up. I want all of my corners to be showing. You want to be able to see all of the layers, and you want each of your layers to be touching as many of the other pieces as possible. It just creates a lot of interest for your eye, and it makes your eye want to move around the page. So if you start to line all of your edges up together, that's where your eye is going to fall, and it might miss some of those little bits of interest. It just won't seem balanced. So now I'm going to glue down my bookmark. It's so cute. And then I can glue down this big stack of layers on my picture. There we go. So that's the base of my layout. And the next step is I want to have some words, because if it's a book, you have words in a book on the page. So I'm just going through. Oh, my son says that he's giving me a time limit. So that was one of those hourglass timers. Anyways, so I'm just going through and I'm picking out different phrases to put all along the layout, and you can see those in the still pictures at the end. And I picked those Cosmo Cricket ones because they were off-white, and the card that says my happy place is sort of an off-white color. Like it's not, it's the color of the card, like it was painted that way. And one of the coffee cups is also just slightly off-white. So I thought that that would spread some of that color around. And I think the rule is if things are white, backed in white, you usually try to stick with white. But if you're going to mix them, you should try and mix everything. So I wanted that cream color and the white to be represented. And here, this is an old cut-apart sheet from Studio Calico, and a lot of these little tabs and banners have the gray color in them. So I'm just going to cut a bunch of those out. And I think I cut out 4 banners, and I cut out 2 little tabs. Actually, I have my layout here with me, which I don't normally, so let me get it for you and I can read what everything's. Alright, so starting from the top left, I have there is beauty and simplicity, grateful for this, love this, hashtag true story, live, create, tell the story, tell your story, it's the little things that make life big, my happy place, do what you love, and joy. And the banners up at the top say everyday life and lucky to be me. So now I'm going to use some of these stickers. I really want these stickers to work out from the Pebbles sticker sheet that I have. So I just have to figure out how I can get them to work, because these are coffee cups, not teacups, which is totally okay. I'm happy. I drink both, so I'm happy to have both on my layout. You can see I have coffee right beside me as I'm working on this. And then I have that green book. So I'm going to make sure that I can get all of those onto the layout. I also like this teacup that has the books stacked on it. And I just like the way that these colors sort of pop, because without them, this is almost a monochromatic layout. It's a lot of grays and a lot of really light blue, sort of like a cloudy blue. And there's only just a little bit of color from those teacups that are along the side of the book and then, or along the side of the picture, and then the book and the mug in the picture itself. So I'm going to cut this label. I think this label might have come from Fancy Pants if I'm not mistaken. But it just has that really nice soft blue color. So I've cut it to put it in two different places. And then I have the round label, which was a speech bubble from the same collection, but I cut off the speech bubble part of it. And now I'm going to put a big chunk of it in the bottom left-hand corner, and then just that little sliver in the top right-hand corner. And I'm going to force myself to get these to get these coffee cups and that book down in that corner. So now I have a little bit of color at the top and the bottom, and then right in the middle. And here with these Jelly Bean Soup stickers, I found a nice yellow one that says quality time, so that works great. But because I put that yellow there, I want to try and find some other yellow to spread around. And so here is a big banner sticker that was on that other sheet. And I'm just going to cut a little strip that I can put up there. Yep. Oh, it was a little too long, so I'm going to cut it down. I don't want the yellow to stand out too much, but I like the way it sort of draws your eye to the right places that you want to be paying attention to. So now I need some yellow up in that top corner. So with that little cutoff, I'm going to cut a banner, just a fishtail, and put a little banner up the top. So now I have yellow in all of my clusters as well. And then here I get to finally use some of these hearts. So there were 2 light gray hearts and 2 light blue hearts. And I'll put them both on. And now with that same banner that I cut, I'm going to punch out some yellow hearts. I love punching on stickers because they're already set for you to use, especially with this tiny heart punch. So I'm going to punch out a heart that goes with each of the twine and ink hearts that I put out, or put on the layout. Then lastly, I have these really cute cork hearts from Spiegel Mom Scraps, and I bought those in the Wild Whisper Designs shop. So I think it's awesome that they have their own stuff, and then they also carry a little bit from Spiegel Mom Scraps, so we can get all our cute cork hearts and sequins. So I'm going to put one of those alongside, yes, the never-ending glue problems. See, it worked for me for a little bit on a Valentine's layout that I just posted, and then it went back to not working. But anyways, it's really, really awesome glue, and it sticks these cork hearts down really well, which I'm going to find out in a couple of minutes. So I just have those stuck down, so all the hearts are clumped together. And now I'm going to take some foam. These are just little tiny foam squares, and I want to pop up the layers of these pages. And I'm not doing it in any kind of with any kind of rhyme or reason. I just want to stick them randomly in different spots so that it looks like there's some dimension and the pages aren't just all sitting flat, like a real book would be if it was opened in the center. And then to do the same thing on the other side, I'm going to take some fun foam that has a sticky side to it. There you can see I'm going to run a strip of it down right along the edge of where I have that top paper sewn. And then I'm going to run my glue runner right beside the foam and stick the page down. And so what I'm trying to do is create the illusion of the shape that paper has when you have a book opened to its center, how the pages don't lie flat. They have that sort of bubble to them. So I'm doing this as subtly as I can, because obviously you don't want to have a crazy amount of bulk in your scrapbook, but I also want to make sure that the bump is prominent enough that when you're looking at it, you understand what the illusion is supposed to convey. So you can see I put that line of tape right down beside the um, foam, so that when I stick it down, that foam really pops up. And then I realized that I'm going to have to cut off a chunk of paper along the edge, because once it's all put down, I still want to be able to see a little bit of each of those papers. So I had to move some of my stuff over. And now here's this last layer that I'm going to put down and put my glue down. And then there you can kind of see the way that my hand is pressing down and the way that the shadows go, that there's a bit of a bump. So now I'll cut off all of that excess edge. And it's, yeah, I'm going to have to do a bit of a hack job here. This is the thing about having plans but not really knowing how to execute them, is that sometimes you have to do things backwards because you don't always know how it's going to turn out, or what's going to need to be done. So that's sort of what happened with this. I knew I had to cut some of that paper to make all of the pages visible, but I didn't really know ahead of time how much I might have to cut off. So I had to go ahead and glue everything down. If I ever do something like this again, I sort of have a better idea in my head of what the lengths of the papers need to be, so I can cut them ahead of time, which will make the edges a lot nicer. And then here I'm using some more of that foam just to pop up some of those pages in the corner, again to give the illusion of multiple pieces of paper stacked up on either side of the book. And when I look at the layout in person, you can really see the dimension, and you can really see the way that the shadows are created, that it does have the appearance of a book. So now I'm just sewing down in a couple spots. You can see there are 4 spots. I just want to make that seam a little bit tighter, because again, then it creates the bubble, that bubble illusion a little bit better. Now I'll cut off this edge. For a while I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to cut it off or if I wanted to let it sort of span over the binding, but I decided I'm going to cut it off. And there you can see, from the shadows, you can see the dimension that has. And I think here I'm putting a little bit more foam. The more I kind of moved it around and took a look at it, I could see the spots where I felt like it needed to pop up a little more. So what I'm saying there is, up at the top, everything is connected. The cluster where the picture is connected to the sticker that has the books, and the teapot or the teacup, which is connected to the banner. So I felt like I needed something like that down at the bottom too. And there you can see how well the glue held. When I tried to pull up the cork heart, I ripped it, so I have to put a new one down there. But I just wanted to give that feel of a connection right from the bottom corner all the way through to the top. And I think that actually looks nice. The color looks nice, and now it feels a little bit more evenly distributed throughout the layout. My camera cut off while I was putting on those gold sequins, but they're in there too. And now I'm just going to use a gray marker to do a little bit of journaling, and I'm going to sprinkle the layout with some tinsel and some gold Heidi Swap Color Shine. I know people don't like to mix those too often, silver and gold, But on this layout, I think it works because they read more as gray and yellow. And so here you can see some of the layers and just how much foam I put in and how much dimension there is. And that's it for this layout. I think it was a crazy adventure, but I really, really like the way it turns out, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And I want to give a big shout out to Heather and Suzy for giving me the opportunity to do this. I absolutely loved working with your products, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, happy scrapping! Bye!